Hi there, Sakshi. My name is Ellen, and I will be doing these essay corrections with you. I'm very happy to see that you have begun the course and you're doing your essays. Great work. Let's take a look at what you wrote here. It's your first set of essays, the ones about school and better skills in children. So let's see what you wrote. We are living in a highly competent era where importance of good education is extremely high. It is irrefutable that child's education plays a vital role in their growth throughout their life. Recently, a controversial issue has arisen which depicts that schools should be amusing versus schools are there only for coaching children. This essay will analyze examples from Harvard studies and government surveys to demonstrate points and prove arguments. All right, so there are a couple of things that I really want to point out here. It's fine in terms of the structure. You started off rather generally, you got a little more narrow until you told us what the essay is going to talk about. So in that sense, it's structured correctly. There are some problems though with grammar and vocabulary. There were some errors. All right, the good news is that these errors, they didn't impede communication. So they weren't so serious that we didn't understand what you were trying to say, but still it wasn't completely accurate. Accuracy is really important in your introduction because it's essentially, your introduction is essentially the first impression that the examiner is getting of your writing. And so you really want this to be as accurate as possible. Okay, so those are the first couple of things. The last thing that I want to mention is this. There is a very direct question here. And for our purposes, we're going to call it a command. Every essay has a command where it tells you what it wants to know. Okay, and the thing that it wants to know is your position. Here, the thing they want to know, the position, is which do you agree with? Is it that schools should be more entertaining, or should they just educate? Which do you agree with? All right, now, if you're looking for a band 7, then one of the things that you need to do for that band 7 is to make sure that your position is clear from the beginning. It's clear throughout the essay, from the beginning to the end. That's what throughout means. So, in other words, you need to answer this. That's the short version, okay? You need to answer this question, and it's a good idea to answer in your introduction. So rather than just telling us that this essay will analyze examples from Harvard, etc., you really should have told us that, in my opinion, I believe X, and this essay will demonstrate points and prove arguments with examples from Harvard studies and government surveys. All right, and then that's it. So let's take a look at some of the mistakes that we saw here. The word competent felt wrong. It was misplaced here. You wanted something else here. Maybe competitive would have been better. We are living in a highly competitive era where the importance of good education is extremely high. It is irrefutable. Now here, this was also strange. Because I felt like it was really just too similar to the previous sentence. Here you're talking about the importance of good education, and here you're talking about, again, the importance of an education for a child throughout their life. So I didn't really see that that sentence was really, like, it didn't really help you. It was pretty much just a little repetitive. What you could have done instead was this. You're living in a highly competitive era where the importance of a good education starting from childhood is extremely high. Okay? And that would have essentially taken the place of this sentence. So, recently a controversial issue has arisen which debates whether schools should be amusing or if they are only for coaching children. Okay? And then I already told you what you needed to do here. So let's move on. To begin with, traditional methods of imparting education can cause problems with attention because they are not designed effectively and can cause boredom. A recent Harvard study showed that most of the young people have problems in memorizing the information taught in schools. This is not good for students with low or poor memory, and hence it should be improvised. You don't mean improvised, you mean improved. This feels a little underdeveloped. Now, just to prove my point, look at your introduction. It's actually longer than your first body paragraph is. That should be a sign to you that you have not developed your body paragraph enough. Even if you had taken away that one sentence that I suggested, it was still about the same length. So this is really underdeveloped. You what are you telling us here? You're telling us why schools should not just solely educate. So you said that they are not designed effectively and they can cause boredom. And then you said that something about memorizing information. They can cause problems with attention because they are not designed effectively and can cause boredom. So they have problems memorizing information. You really just needed to add more to this. You could have had another piece of I would have liked another main idea here. So why else should we not have these just academic schools? Okay, what's the purpose for that? Why do you think that this type of learning is ineffective rather than just what you just said? Okay, I really want a little more than just this, but let's move on. Another argument to the aforementioned statement, no comma here, is that the primary motive of educational institutions with an S is to provide education because teachers are hired to yield. You don't really yield knowledge. You share knowledge perhaps with children, or you how else could you say this? Maybe you provide an education. I know, then you're now using education 100 times. Look, educational, education. I still wanted to see this reworded, okay? So basically, to impart knowledge would have been good. Impart knowledge to students and not entertain them. According to a recent survey conducted by national school administrative bodies in India, when students were, with note H here, provided entertainment along with their studies, they descended into anarchy. Thus, schools should adopt effective methods of teaching so that children learn and grow in their careers. All right, let's look at your conclusion. To recapitulate, I would reckon that the teaching curriculum should be focused on better education, but it should be enjoyable so that young people look forward to learning and enhance their knowledge. All right, so let's take a look at what happened. In your introduction, I didn't know what your position was, right? Here, you told us basically why you are against this idea of simply academic schools with no entertainment, okay? You told us that. So that's fine. Then here you said another argument to the aforementioned statement. First of all, which statement are you referring to? You had a whole paragraph before, so that confused me. And then reading another argument made me think that you were simply supporting what you had just said. And so I expected this to be about why these traditional methods are a bad idea and so forth. But then that's not what you said. You actually argued the opposite point of view. So, to be honest, I thought it was really rather confusing. Part of the problem was the linkers in your introduction. The linkers in your topic sentence to begin with, and then another argument. It should have been really on the one hand, on the other hand. Okay, that would have made sense. Let's see. And then here you said that I reckon that the teaching curriculum should be focused on better education, but it should be enjoyable. You kind of talked about that here, but you know what? You didn't. You merely you merely argued why traditional education is bad. Just because you're arguing that traditional education is bad, that doesn't automatically mean that we should understand that entertaining education is good. Does that make sense? So let me see if I can explain something like a little differently with an analogy, because I'm not sure if I'm making sense. So just because you say that an object is not black, that does not automatically mean that the object is white. Okay, that's kind of the best analogy I can make. So we don't really, it wasn't particularly clear. And so this is the kind of essay where an examiner might say, you know, the clear position was not found, or it was difficult to draw conclusions. So, but there's definitely not a central theme throughout this essay where we understand where you're going with it. All right. Let's see. There was some good vocabulary, but there were some mistakes. So I want you to be careful with that. I want you to aim for higher accuracy with your vocabulary. All right. Good paragraphing. That was good. But remember what I said. This has a specific purpose to serve. Okay. So don't write too much here. I really want you to focus more of your time developing your body rather than your introduction. So let's move on to your second essay about the enjoyable activity with a child. It is an, here you need an undeniable fact that parents are role models for their offspring, and from early childhood they tend to develop reading skills in children. Careful. To develop reading skills in children is not an accurate expression. They help children develop reading skills. It's not like a parent can develop them, okay? But they help children develop them. Or maybe they encourage reading skills in children. All right, that would kind of make sense too. So while some parents encourage their children to, while some parents encourage their children to develop reading skills, okay, obviously you would have to change one of these. Many promote many engaging activities to build a wider range of skills. I believe more engaging activities can build a wider range of skills. This essay will analyze examples from sports and music to demonstrate points. All right, so this is good, but look at this. To build a wide range of skills, to build a wider range of skills. So that's something you really don't want to do. You don't want to repeat yourself like this. So either use different language or use some sort of cohesion. One way you could have made this more cohesive is like this. While some parents encourage their children to develop reading skills, many promote many engaging activities to build a wider range of skills. I agree with this latter position. Or let's see. I believe this. I believe is a better choice. Okay, you could have done that as well. So using this to refer to the this part of the sentence would have been a good idea. All right, let's move on. Firstly, the practice of any sport without the S develops a child's spatial, not special, spatial awareness is largely because most sports require the sportsman to maneuver an object within a fixed space. For example, the 2012 DVLA survey found that 80% of drivers who play sports passed their driving test on the first or second attempt. This indicates that the cognition development of awareness can be linked to sports. Okay, so what are you telling us here? So sports helps develop spatial awareness because this, so drivers do, let's see, so people can become drivers more quickly. Okay, fine, let's move on. Secondly, engaging children in activities like painting or drawing. I don't like this, our harness, that doesn't make sense. So like painting or drawing, help to strengthen creative forces. A recent report from a technical Scottish university discovered that when students learn painting and drawing, their problem-solving skills increased threefold. Hence, it is important for parents to inculcate different skills apart from reading. Good. This is good. I'm glad that you spent a paragraph talking about creativity. That's exactly what you need to do if you're going to do it like this. So I'm glad you did that. You gave it its appropriate amount of space here in this essay. So that was good. Let's move on and I'll keep talking. So to conclude, I strongly believe that incorporating reading habits is necessary, but daytime reading should be reciprocated. This is the wrong word. It should be complemented perhaps with better skill. It's not a skill. Should be complemented with other activities like group sport or creative tasks, for example. It is predicted that the future education systems will encompass a growing range of activities to help future generations to flourish. Okay, so that's good, but check this out. This is something I actually wanted to talk to you about. This was about activities compared to reading, right? So here you mentioned reading once. Here you didn't mention reading at all. Here you didn't mention reading at all. Just all of a sudden now you're telling us that incorporating reading habits is necessary. this is the first time we hear this, and quite frankly, it doesn't belong in your conclusion. The conclusion is not the place to introduce new information. Any new information should be introduced in your body paragraphs, but definitely not in your conclusion. So the reason why I pointed out where and how much you talked about reading is because I do think it's important to make comparisons here throughout the body paragraph to reading. Something like, the practice of any sport develops a child's spatial awareness, which is a skill neglected by reading alone. Okay? And then can be linked to sports, but is certainly not satisfied by just reading. So even doing something like that and making that comparison, because that's what this whole essay is about, would have been an important addition here. And again, the same thing in this paragraph as well. Because somebody could argue that reading does foster creativity. All right, it makes you imagine things, you kind of envision what you're seeing, and this can lead to a wonderful development of creativity. So you still needed to talk about it a little bit, just to contrast perhaps the activities that you're suggesting with reading. All right, so we've got a good start here to these, a good start to your IELTS preparation. There's some things that you need to work on, but that's what we're here for. We're going to work on them together. So the first thing you want to do is you want to correct these essays based on this correction. Then you want to create an error correction list where you write the mistakes and the suggested correction next to the mistake. Okay, add to that list with each correction you get back. And then the third thing you want to do is send us, of course, a new set of essays. So send us all three of these things. Try to do it in the next day or so you can really apply everything you're learning, okay? We'll meet back here with your new set of essays. I'm looking forward to it. So good luck to you.